Welcome. Welcome, family and friends and family. I like to say family who are friends and friends who are family. So welcome on this day. This is the day that the Lord has made, and I'm glad we sang that song because it got my voice kind of working. I've got a little bit of a Lauren Bacall thing going on here. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that I'm here with you all you shining faces in our Hollywood squares. I'm Claudia Chandler. Most of you may know that. I sit on the board of directors for Capital City Unity, and I'm delighted that you are here. Just delighted. And I love that we get together in our Zoom squares with our Uber conference people on the side, 4 or 5 of them. So welcome you all too. I can't see you, but I know you're there. And I can't see some of these phone number people, but I know you're there as well, so welcome. I hope you all had a lovely Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, even in this unusual times that we live in. I hope your day was filled with faith and joy and love. I hope you felt loved wherever you were. Even if you couldn't be with family or around the Christmas tree with friends, I pray that you had memories and steeped in them and just enjoyed that. I'm going to say that this COVID restricted Christmas was not my idea of fun, but it did give me an opportunity to count my blessings, to reflect on how much I have and had, and how grateful I am. And maybe an opportunity to realize that I had not been known, experienced, expressed enough gratitude for what I had in my life, big and small. Because when that's absent, you realize the void. And thankfully, we know it's going to come back. Thankfully, the vaccine will be coming. And thankfully, we will all be able to get back together again and have a life of normalcy. But let us not forget and how much and how grateful we are for even the little things, even when we go back to normal. Well, if you're joining us for the first time, we bless you and we welcome you. And we want you to know, we know who you are. You are a child of God. Just like Jesus was a child of God, you are a child of God. And that Christ in you, your hope of glory, is born in you. And you are home. So welcome, welcome. Okay, if you'd like to know a little bit more about us, check our website, capitalcityunity.org. Email us at capitalcityunity@gmail.com. Operators are standing by to receive your requests. And we come together to do one of the things that we love and we do most, and that is meet in community, pray, enjoy a marvelous lesson, and meditate. We believe and we affirm, wherever 2 or more are gathered in my name, there I am. There I am. God is with us, in the midst of us. And because today is the last Sunday of the year, part of our time together will be focused on the burning bowl release. It's a tradition in Unity to use the burning bowl to release that which no longer serves us. Not being together physically has resulted in the modifications of some of our traditional holiday activities. So our COVID adaptation for the burning bowl requires a bit of creativity on your part and on our part. Well, here's the flow of the service today. Announcements, reading of the daily word, blessing of the names in the prayer box, affirmations, love offerings, announcements again. We won't do that twice. The meditation hymn, which will be 259, We Make Our Own World. Kathryn's lesson, Don't Look Back. Hymn number 221, It's a Special Day. Our closing prayer, our closing song, which is Let There Be Peace on Earth, and hymn, which is hymn number 3, and our prayer of protection. So for the announcements, we sincerely invite you to join the prayer circle every Thursday morning at 9 a.m. Prayer is not only a gift for that whom we are praying for, but it is a gift for the giver. Well, now some of you may not have the Wings of Song hymn book. Please email us your name and address, and we will send you one as our New Year's gift to you. And Suzanne wants me to tell you that the daily word is in, and they're $5. So if you would like one or would like information on any of the above three, email us at capitalcityunity@gmail.com. And now to the daily word. The daily word today is release. I take the best and leave the rest. Let me say that together. I take the best and leave the rest. My experiences of this year have brought me gifts of insight, new perspectives, many chances to grow and stretch myself, and perhaps the opportunity to develop a skill that serves me in my work, my retirement, or brings greater enjoyment to my leisure time. Some experiences have been painful or difficult, but these too have offered their gifts. I accept all that has come my way with gratitude. I bless it all. I find the gifts and releases that which no longer serves my growth. Assured that God is my dependable source, I release any pain of a financial setback. In the joy of restored health, I release any memory of illness. Grateful for all modes of connection, I release any pain of loneliness. I move forward feeling lighter, cleansed, and renewed for my journey forward into 2021. And from Isaiah 43:18, do not remember the former things or consider the things of old. And now for those affirmations that we say and know at the core of our being. There is only one presence, one power, one love, active in my life, God the good, omnipotent. Together, there is only one presence, one power, one love, active in my life, God the good, omnipotent. And it is with these words and in this consciousness that we bless the names of the people in the prayer box, knowing as we speak our affirmations and pray today, we hold them in a powerful light of peace and love. We bless our healthcare workers, emergency responders, police officers and firefighters, postal workers, and members of the armed forces. We bless all those people who make our world a safer place. We are grateful to the scientists who developed a vaccine working tirelessly to stop the tsunami of deaths resulting from COVID. We bless our chaplain, Kristen, and her colleagues as they work at UC Davis Hospital. And we bless all the healthcare workers that are taking care of people during these COVID challenged times. We bless the essential workers who are part of an important distribution system for our health and well-being. We bless our nation, our community leaders, and politicians as they listen and open their hearts to right action, knowing that each of them in their heart of hearts want the same thing we desire: a better world for our children, our grandchildren, all children. And as we align ourselves with God, as we center ourselves in God, we know that with God, all things are possible. So for them, I say this affirmation. There is only one presence, one power, one love active in your life. God the good, omnipotent. And there is only one presence, one power, one love active in this ministry. God the good, omnipotent. Together, there is only one presence, one power, one love active in this ministry. God the good, omnipotent. And there is only one presence, one power, one love active in the world today. God the good, omnipotent. It's so important that we judge by righteous judgment and not by appearances. So together we say, there is only one presence, one power, one love active in the world today. God the good, omnipotent. And we pray, O loving presence, comfort and heal those who have been touched by disease or disharmony, wherever they are. Immerse them in love. Lead us all through this dark time and into the light. Give us each the peace that passes all understanding, and the knowing that love always prevails. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Now, my friends, we'll be taking the offering so that the rest of our service can be dedicated to renewing and starting anew. So I invite you to hold your offering in your hand, whether it's there or not. Just we're gonna metaphysically do this. We are so grateful for you, even though we aren't physically together. Even though we're not physically together, many of you continue to support this ministry and the salaries of the people who make it possible. Thank you, Marty. Thank you, Gordon. Thank you, Sharon. So I invite you to take your love offering in your hand and rub them together, creating the giving energy of love and prosperity. And as you focus on that energy and prosperity, make your hands, once they're warm, move them to your heart. And repeat these words after me, please. I give in love. I give in joy. I give in gratitude, knowing that all that I give will return back to me multiplied beyond measure. Thank you, my friends, for we know that's how it works, that what we give, we receive multiplied. So thank you, God, and thank you all for the support of this ministry. And now, I invite you to turn to hymn 359, We Make Our Own World, hymn 359. Gordon? Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love that song. I love that song. It's so true. It speaks the truth of our being. We do make our own world. Now, as I mentioned, today's meditation will be a bit different. It's a guided meditation related to the burning bowl release process. You will not need to do anything but follow my voice and use your magnificent imagination. You might choose to close your eyes to shut out any visual distractions. So let's move into that relaxed meditative state, using your breath to guide you. We'll begin with 3 deep cleansing breaths. Breathing each breath in to a count of 5, holding to 4, and then releasing to a longer count than your exhale. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now exhale. And then repeat that again. Going deep, more relaxed. If you find your mind wandering during this meditation, that's okay. Just bring your focus back to your breath. If all you do is breathe, that's enough. We make our own world wherever we are. Do you believe that? So many sages have made this statement in so many different ways, but it's the same basic principle. From Jesus to Emily Cady to the Fillmores to Emmett Fox, each has expanded on this in their own way. But it's the same principle. Best-selling books are written about our ability to create our own world. And that's the focus of today's meditation. Creating that world that we want to experience in 2021. However, first, We need to use our imagination faculty to release that which no longer serves us, to make way for additional good that we want to attract into our life. Oh, you might say, I don't have a very good imagination. I need to see it to believe it. But Wayne Dwyer, he said the opposite. When you believe it, you will see it. And dear Wayne was probably the most prolific, prosperity-focused, advanced metaphysical teachers of our time. I actually believe that we use our meditation faculty with all its power frequently. Every time we worry, we hit all the key manifestation steps when we worry. We visualize our feared outcome. We add emotion to ignite it. Often so much emotion that we can feel it in our body. And then we repeat our worry or that fear over and over and over in our mind, even when we don't want to. Yes, I'd submit that some of us have the equivalent of a master's degree in worry. So let's use that imagination faculty. Use it to release anything and everything that no longer serves our unfolding good. So now in your mind's eye, using your imagination, we will be writing out those things we want to release. It's your list in your imagination, so you can write the items out on a long list or on individual papers. And when we are done, you will be crumpling them up. And don't get too caught up in the process or your penmanship. This is in your mind's eye. So first, let my words be your words as you bring that mind of yours to what is it that you want to release going into 2021. Your conscious awareness brings the activation of release of problems, of thoughts, and things from your life. Keep it simple. A name or a word representing what needs to be released is enough. You don't need to write a thesis on this. So let my words be your words. I release all people, places, events, habits, and behaviors that are keeping me from experiencing the full good that God has in store for me. Let the feelings come to you. Let your heart open to the flow as it releases old wounds, negativity, or unhealthy thought patterns. Maybe it's someone from your past that you need to release. A family member, a teacher, an employer, a friend, acquaintance. Maybe there's an event, possibly as far back as your childhood or school years, or a work situation that comes to mind that you need to release. Past actions may come to mind. Release that which is no longer serving you. Maybe there's someone you need to ask forgiveness from, or someone you need to forgive. Another way to think about it maybe there's someone you want an apology from. Think about it. A genuine apology could shift how you feel about them. If they just apologize for their behavior, their words. Okay, here's their apology. Here's what Jesus said. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. Whatever they have done, however mean-spirited or harmful their actions were, put their name on the paper and know that they just don't understand. They just don't get it. But that doesn't mean that you have to hold on to them until they do. Your health and your well-being relies on release. You can forgive someone for not being the way that you wanted them to be. Say to that person, I forgive you, and set you free. So forgiveness has nothing to do with condoning the behavior. It's just about not holding on to it anymore. Maybe there's a behavior or habit that doesn't serve you and keeps you from being the best version of yourself. You know what it is. Are you ready to release it? Write it down. And now, for the last step. Scan your body. Imagine a white laser-like light moving down and across your body like a scanner. Is there something that you're holding on to that is showing up in your body? Maybe there's something that needs to be released. Maybe, as Myrtle Fillmore said, we need to praise and love our amazing body and tell it so often and out loud. Maybe we need to approve and accept ourselves exactly as we are. And now, imagine a beautiful copper bowl, 24 inches in diameter, 12 inches tall. Beautiful copper bowl sitting in front of you. Now crumple those papers up and place them in the bowl. One by one, or all at one time. And now light the edges of the paper and see in your mind's eye the paper burning. Inhale. Smell the smoke as it burns the paper. See the flame in your mind's eye catching and turning an amber color. Notice how as the paper burns, it turns a grayish white into ash. and then falls away as the smoke rises. Visualize your unwanted thoughts, habits, and behaviors that no longer serve you rising up in that smoke. And now let me say the affirmation. Today I release anything, anyone, and everything that no longer serves my unfolding good. Today I release anything, anyone, and everything that no longer serves my unfolding good. And take that into your heart. Hold it on your heart. Today I release anything, everyone, and everything that no longer serves my unfolding good. Do you feel lighter? Do you feel more peaceful? Breathe. Today you have released what you don't want, those thoughts or memories that were weighing you down. Today you let go and let God. The next step is to open your heart to love and the blessings of peace, joy, and harmony. A flower opening to the sun, letting in more good and more God. You can repeat this process again as needed as we move into 2021. It's kind of a catch and release process. Catch that does not serve you and release it to God until it no longer hooks you. Now, as we bring ourselves back from this meditation, I invite you to stay open to the process as you listen to Kathryn's talk about not looking back as we move forward into 2021. So many of you know Kathryn. She's a founding board member here at Capital City Unity. She teaches classes on land use and environmental law and is an environmental attorney working for the California State Department of Parks and Recreation. She's been a Unitic since 1981, 1982. And like many of us, she raised her child in Unity. But now he's not a kid anymore. He's a grown guy and he's got a day job. So good job, Kathryn. So thank you. Kathryn, I'm turning it over to you.
All right, thank you, Claudia, for that really marvelous meditation. That was really lovely, and it fits so well with what I'm talking about. So as often and as usual, we're on the same wavelength. So good morning. It's really lovely to see all your bright and shining faces on this last Sunday of 2020. And the title of my talk is, as you might have heard Claudia say, or as you might have guessed, is Don't Look Back. So at this time of year, our thoughts turn to the new year, new resolutions, future mapping, all the ways to look ahead and anticipate the future. And this year, more than ever, we are all eager to see the last of 2020 with its biblical plagues, pandemics, racial strife, contentious elections. I could go on and on. Good riddance. So, yet there's one thing that's very important to do before we turn to the new year, and we need to clear the decks. Make a clean sweep. Clean the air. We need to release the past. And why is that? Because, to continue my synonyms, what we usually do is sweep the past under a rug. We don't really release the past completely. The regret, the hurt, the anger, the sadness, the worry over things that did happen or that didn't happen. We lock it all away in our hearts, or our minds, or our backs, our jaws, or somewhere else physically. We smush it into a little box under the bed or under our pillow where it keeps us awake at night. When we are too full with all these worries, regrets, etc. in our minds, we cannot find room for the new gift, the gift that the now moment has given us. We have been taught that God looks for a vacuum, space to pour in new ideas, new ways of looking at things. Pascal said, there is a God-shaped vacuum in the heart of each person, which cannot be satisfied by any created thing, but only by God the Creator, made possible or made known through Jesus Christ. So the issue of not looking back has been with us from the beginning. It's an ancient tale. The ancients have a story to illustrate don't look back in the Greek myth of Orpheus and Eurydice. Orpheus, the Greek god of music, was entranced by Eurydice, whose father was Hades, the lord of the underworld. They married. One day, according to legend, one of the minor gods was chasing Eurydice in a meadow where she stepped on a viper, was bitten, died instantly, and descended to her father's land. Of course, Orpheus was distraught, and he played such beautiful music that the nymphs and the deities told him finally to travel to the underworld to get her back. His sweet singing softened the hearts of Hades and Persephone, and he was allowed to take her back to the land of the living on one condition. He must walk in front of her and not look back until both of them had reached the upper world. There are various versions of the story from here. In one, it is thought that Orpheus could not hear her footsteps, and Orpheus turns, anticipating that Hades had not let her come with him. In another version, Orpheus sees a beautiful sunrise, and forgetting the condition, turns to her in delight to share the moment. In any case, in all the versions, because Eurydice is not yet out completely of the underworld, she immediately vanishes and returns to the underworld for good this time. Here's another story that'll be probably more familiar to us, Don't Look Back. In the chapter of Genesis, we learn the tale of Lot's wife. Two angels arrived in Sodom, a city full of evil doers at eventide, and Lot invited them to spend the night at Lot's house. The men of Sodom were exceedingly wicked and wanted Lot to offer up these angels dressed as men to them. Instead, incredibly, Lot offered up his two daughters, but the mob refused. As dawn broke, the visiting angels urged him to get his family and flee so as to avoid being caught in the impending disaster for the iniquity of the city. They said, "Flee for your life. Do not look behind you, nor stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the hills, lest you be swept away." While fleeing, Lot's wife turned to look back and was turned into a pillar of salt. This is a somewhat similar story to that of Noah and the ark, which I discussed a month or so ago. It's a fire versus a flood. It's two cities instead of the world. The two cities, Sodom and Gomorrah, represent erroneous thinking, haughtiness, egoism, and negative, harmful states of consciousness. Nothing in this state can exist permanently. The cities represent a concealed or obscure thought or habit. Gomorrah signifies a state of mind that is adverse to the law of spirit. Traditional Christianity says that these wicked cities of the plain are located within us, and before we can come into a realization of the promised child or Christ, we must consent to purification of consciousness from the sins that Sodom and Gomorrah represent. The purification must be by fire, and it must be complete. Lot and his family, like Noah and his family, are not perfect, but they have the potential within them to basically move to the next state. Good potential is not destroyed. The fire and the brimstone, like the flood, represent the eternal cleansing action of spiritual law. So Lot's wife, who is not named in the Bible, but in Jewish version, in the Jewish tradition, thought to be named Edith, looked back. What's the symbolism here? Well, she's leaving in a panic. She's lived in the city all her life. And although it's an evil city, she must have had memories of some good things. After all, she raised her children there. Or maybe it's just morbid curiosity that makes her turn. Maybe she didn't really want to leave, but her husband ordered her to go. Maybe she wanted a last look at a place she would never see again. Maybe she wanted to curse the city. But the point is, she disobeyed the angel's warning. She did what she wanted to do, but in doing so, she missed her opportunity to start a new life in a new place. In Judaism, one common view of Lot's wife turning to salt was that by looking back at the evil cities, she betrayed her secret longing for that way of life. She was deemed unworthy to be saved and thus was turned to the pillar of salt. Another view in the Jewish interpretation of Genesis 19:25 is that when Lot's wife looked back, she turned to a pillar of salt upon the sight of God, who was descending down to rain destruction upon Sodom and Gomorrah. One reason that is given in the tradition is that she turned back to look to see if her daughters, who were married to men of Sodom, were coming or not. And yet a third Jewish legend says that because Lot's wife sinned with salt, she was punished with salt. On the night the two angels visited Lot, he requested that his wife prepare a feast for them. Not having any salt, Lot's wife asked her neighbors for salt, which alerted them to the presence of their guests, resulting in the mob action that endangered Lot's family. But Yahweh told her not to look back. One reason might be is that looking back or retaining old memories can become a bad habit. It could result in programming unhappy memories into the self-conscious. Such memories may even become crystallized as salt. Looking back could still be seen as coveting what Lot and the family was leaving behind. In Luke, Jesus says, "No one who puts a hand to plow and looks back is fit for service in the kingdom of God." Jesus is saying that God doesn't see anyone that looks back longingly at the world as being fit for the kingdom because they, like Lot's wife, don't really want to leave that world. Runners are told not to look back at the competition because they may stumble or veer off the track. In 1 Corinthians, we're told, "Do you not know that in a race of the runners run, only one gets the prize? Run in such a way to get the prize." In order to develop our spiritual faculties, we must include the power of renunciation or elimination, the ability that allows us to cleanse and purify the whole being. Charles Fillmore explained, "It is just as necessary that one should let go of thoughts, conditions, and substances in consciousness, in body and affairs, when they have served their purpose and one no longer needs them, as it is that one should lay hold of new ideas and new substances to meet one's daily requirements. Therefore, it is very necessary that the elimination faculty be quickened in us and a right balance between receiving and giving, laying hold and letting go be established. Renunciation must work in conjunction with all the faculties as we replace wrong habits of thought and feeling with new concepts and understanding. Just spilled my coffee. With new concepts and understanding that will be the basis for spiritual growth and development. Another unity lesson. If you're paying attention to relative life or the little self, as opposed to the absolute or the big self, you are paying attention to the past, to regrets, or to worries. You are not paying attention to the right thing. You may not serve two masters. But this is a hard lesson to learn, and it is not a one-time choice. It's a trial that must be undertaken and failed many times by the seeker before it finally sinks in. We lose your DC thousands or millions of times before we learn not to look back. It's instinctual for us to look back. It's a tendency to look back in worry, but it's a test of courage to look forward. It's a test of fortitude to go forward into the future without looking back. When you are too afraid of losing the things you love the most in the world to trust your God and think of the future rather than the past, it is a moral question about courage and faith. Once you have become spiritually purified, you must move ahead and not look back, or you will fail to stay purified, which is a failure. To look back is to give energy to the negativity we're leaving behind as we move higher in consciousness and understanding. One of the strongest ways to stop our progress is to allow an attachment to the past to distract us from the power and promise of the present moment and paralyze ourselves into immobility. Perhaps that is one reason why New Year's resolutions don't work. We can see into the future and look at our future self, but we just can't let go. We can't stop holding back. Oh, I wanted to lose that 10 pounds last year, but I didn't. So I probably won't lose the weight again this year. We try hard to save some of the thoughts and secret habits of our past. We have indulged them for so long, and our ancestors did likewise, beyond the memory of the ancients, that we cannot help thinking that there is some good in those past thoughts or attachments. Once you have become committed to the kingdom of heaven, there is no place to check your baggage. You must leave it all behind. And let me say that again. Once you have been committed to the kingdom of heaven, there is no place to check your baggage. You must leave it all behind. So an anecdote from a writer named Lori Fleming. There was a student who goes to a wise old monk for instruction. And the monk's trying to work with the young man, but this young man has a very busy mind. So the monk invites him over for tea, and the monk takes the teacup and he pours the tea into the teacup. And to the student's shock, the monk keeps pouring tea into the teacup as it overflows into the saucer, and then onto the table, and then onto the floor, making a huge mess. The student asks why, and the monk suggests that the overflowing cup represents the young man's busy mind. It is so full that there is no room for the instructions that the young man came to the monk to learn. The mess is suggestive of the young man's mind. When we are too full of our own ideas, when we are planning and worrying, there is no room to receive the gift for the now moment has to offer us. Imagine every day, every night, when you go to bed, emptying the cup. emptying your mind, getting rid of all the old ideas, all the things that we don't need anymore. Because if we fail to do that, we might end up with ideas that we don't need anymore. They may even hurt us, and it makes our consciousness harder to change. Cleaning the cup is a metaphor for releasing things that we're holding back or that we no longer need. Lack, limitation, thinking of people or objects that have a bad feeling or bad energy, unforgiveness, fear, doubt, regret. All of those are things to empty out of the cup every night. New thoughts come in many forms. We welcome it in happy thoughts of love, compassion, understanding, forgiveness, acceptance. If the thoughts come back, then maybe we're not done with them, with that experience or that thought or memory. And as I mentioned above, we may lose Eurydice a number of times. We may be turned into a pillar of salt, which would represent depression, distance of God, loss. So at this year's end, we gather the things we need to leave or get rid of, and we throw them in the fire, either metaphorically or in actuality. To think about what to renounce, new research reveals that what people regret most of all. From an article in Inc., Jeff Hayden, one of their contributing editors, says that most people regret the things that they did not do rather than the things that they did. Even if those things they did turned out badly, they still regretted the thing they did not do. Basically, with time and effort, you can fix most of the mistakes you make, but you cannot go back and do the things you dreamed of, but you didn't do them. Researchers focused on three of ourselves: our actual self, who we think we are; our ought to be self, our traits and responsibilities that we think we should possess, who we think we should be; and the ideal self, the traits, abilities, and accomplishments we would like to possess, our hopes, goals, and dreams. 76%, more than 3/4 of the people asked, felt regret related to their ideal self as opposed to their ought to be self. They cited an action not taken, which would have helped them realize their ideal self. And one researcher says, well, this makes sense. The ought to be regrets are the potholes of life. These were problems, but now they're basically behind you. There are also certain failures to live up to our ought to be selves that are extremely painful and may stick with us forever if we can't release them. In short, we most regret thinking we didn't realize our full potential. We must regret not becoming the person that we feel we could have become if only we had tried. Because this is one mistake we can never go back and fix. But you can stop making that mistake today. Here are several suggestions from his book, The Motivation Myth. I'm going to read the 5 over, and then I'll just mention them briefly. Make your goal tangible and specific. Make your goal matter. Always make your goal a positive goal. Always set your goal and forget your goal. And always focus on the daily process. So the first one again, make your goal tangible and specific. Instead of get in better shape, which is really just a wish, it's too amorphous, adopt a goal such as I'll lose 10 pounds in 30 days. It's specific, it's measurable, and it's an objective goal. You want a goal that allows you to work backward and create a process designed to achieve it. You won't know what to do every day if you don't know exactly what you want to achieve. The second goal is make your goal matter. It has to matter to you personally, not your spouse, not your kids, not your boss. It has to mean something to you because it will make a difference in how you see yourself. Hayden gives the example of why you want to get in better shape. If it's just because you'd like to look better to people on the beach, or some other goal like that, you're unlikely to follow through. But if you want to feel better or set an example for your kids or prove something to yourself, then you are more likely to stick to it. The third goal is always make your goal a positive goal. As we in Unity already know, a positive affirmation is more motivating than a negative one, although we also know that sometimes we have to renounce or eliminate something first to get to the positive. Practically, it's a lot harder to give up or stop doing something than it is to embrace a new or positive challenge. So instead of thinking to yourself, I need to stop eating candy, which is a negative goal, you could say, I'm going to eat a handful of almonds every time my sweet tooth starts in. That's new, that's positive, and it's doing something that you can basically feel good about. And then he says the fourth goal is always set your goal and then forget your goal. Think about today only. If we accomplish something today, we'll feel happy about today. Savor the small victories. You don't have to compare the distance between here and there. You don't have to wait for someday to feel good about yourself. If you do what you plan to do today, you're a winner. And finally, number 5, always focus on the daily process. You want to guarantee a series of small improvements. Pick someone who has achieved something that you want to achieve. Examine and parse the example and the process that they use to get there, and then follow it. You can make small corrections as you go for what works best for you, but do what is proven to work. Don't start by trying to do what you want to do or what feels good or what you think will work. Otherwise, you'll give up because the process you create won't yield those small successes that will keep you motivated and feeling good about yourself. Don't be turned into a salt pillar by allowing your own desire. Follow the example that you have chosen. So the takeaways from today's talk, along with that idea from a couple of weeks ago, that small window in the arc that causes you to only look at the sky and not surrounding circumstances, think this week of the teacup being emptied every morning or night. Think about becoming an ossified person, a pillar of salt, and then renounce what is holding you back. Stay in the now moment and receive the gift of new thoughts. So don't look back. Renounce with fire the feelings of regrets and actions that are holding you back. Move into this new year with a plan to take on something that will make you your ideal person. Please open your wings of song to hymn 221, It's a Special Day. Gordon?
Wow, it is a special day. I feel wonderful. Thank you, Kathryn. From Greek mythology to the Old Testament to the New Testament to the Buddhist philosophy to action steps. You hit all the high spots, and I took notes. So thank you so much. I love that Kathryn loves to do the metaphysical interpretations of the Bible. It's a wonderful blessing for us, Kathryn. So thank you that you enjoy all that research to do all that work. So now, as we close out our last Sunday of 2020, I'd like to read a poem by Dorothy Pearson called Choice. Every day I can make the choice to take the happy outlook, the positive view, the judgment that is spiritually true. I don't have to look with worry eyes and voice concern and fear over events as they appear. I can consciously choose to see the good, to look for God in all I do, and know that God's at work in me, in you, and in and through every activity. I can make the choice. The God of love designed it so, and in that freedom I can grow, to trust God, to choose the way, to work with God throughout the day, and joyously share in God's love and care for all creation. Thank you, God, for your trust in me that lets this miracle be. I can make the choice. So I thought it was the perfect poem from Dorothy to send us on our way into 2021. Our closing song today will be Let There Be Peace on Earth. If you don't know it, it's hymn number 3 in the hymnal. And I'm muting myself now. Gordon? All right, I'm going to ask Gordon to unmute us all so that we can all say the prayer of protection together. All right, ready? The light of God.
God surrounds us. The love of God holds us.
The power of
God protects us.
Presence of God.
The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is.
God is
well.
all right, my
Amen.